Every haunting begins with something ordinary. A house, a painting, a doll. But sometimes, the ordinary is a mask for something darker. Tonight's story comes not from a dusty Victorian mansion, but from the places where modern horror lives and breathes. Reddit confession threads, TikTok unboxing videos, Instagram posts, and news outlets such as the Economic Times and Deccan Chronicle. What began as a viral toy trend has now morphed into one of the most unnerving internet legends of the decade. The doll's name is Labubu. Collectors call it cute. Designers call it art. But for hundreds of owners across the world, Labubu became something else. A trigger for nightmares, electrical disturbances, and the feeling of being watched by something not quite human. Some call it superstition. Some call it a hoax. But many who experienced it firsthand refuse to laugh anymore. This is Dark Horror Bites, and this is the story of the Labubu Doll curse. Nightmares after unboxing. The allure of Labubu. Before we enter the curse, we must understand the obsession. Labubu isn't a mass-produced Barbie or a porcelain antique. It's a designer vinyl figure born from Asia's booming collectible culture. A mischievous, wide-eyed creature with exaggerated fangs, sharp little ears, and a grin that hovers between playful and predatory. The appeal is in the blind box. You don't know which variant you'll get until you tear open the packaging. Unboxing videos rack up millions of views. Influencers flaunt their collections on TikTok and Instagram. And fans form communities trading, showing off, and hunting rare editions. But somewhere in late 2023, the tone shifted. Screenshots of collectors' posts started appearing. I woke up and the doll was closer to my bed. My dog wouldn't stop barking at it all night. The lights flickered the moment I unboxed it. Soon, hashtags like #LabubuCursed spread across TikTok. Influencers made dramatic videos burning their dolls. News outlets began reporting on the trend. Skeptics rolled their eyes. But the stories kept piling up. And what made it harder to dismiss was how similar these stories sounded. First encounters, the doll watches. One of the earliest viral accounts came from a young woman on Reddit. She posted a shaky video, her apartment dark except for the glow of a desk lamp. The Labubu doll sits on the table. She swears she left it facing the wall. But in the clip, the doll is turned toward her. You can hear her whisper nervously off camera, "I didn't touch it. I swear to God I didn't touch it." The comments exploded. "It's just in your head. Stop scaring yourself. No, seriously, that thing's looking right at you." Within days she uploaded again, this time with her cat. In the video, the cat arches its back, hisses, and won't go near the doll. She wrote that the cat had never behaved that way before. Her final post was a short sentence, "I don't sleep in that room anymore." Flickering lights and static. Another user reported something stranger. He claimed that within minutes of unboxing his Labubu, every light in his apartment flickered off. The power returned only after he moved the doll to the kitchen. But when he replayed his home security camera footage, there were 2 frames of static interference, as though something had passed between the lens and the doll. In his own words, "It wasn't just the lights. The air felt heavy, like when a storm's about to hit. But there was no storm, just the doll, sitting there, grinning." When he shared the clip on Instagram stories, dozens replied that they'd experienced the same. Electronics glitching, batteries draining, screens freezing, always in the hours after unboxing. Animals that know. A common thread in nearly every Labubu horror story is pets. Dogs bark endlessly at the doll, circling it, refusing to relax. Cats crouch low, tails puffed, glaring at it with wide, unblinking eyes. Birds go silent. Hamsters refuse to leave their cages. One chilling TikTok shows a Labrador sitting inches away from a Labubu, growling low and deep. The doll is placed on a carpet. Suddenly, the dog yelps, backs away, and refuses to re-enter the room. The clip cuts there, but the uploader wrote, "He's never reacted to anything like this before. Ever." Psychologists argue that animals mirror their owners' anxieties. Paranormal believers insist animals sense what humans cannot. But no matter the explanation, the pattern is undeniable. Where Labubu goes, pets behave like they're staring at a predator. Nightmares after unboxing. The most terrifying accounts, however, happen in sleep. Owners describe lucid nightmares so vivid they wake gasping for air. A man sees a shadow with the Labubu's grin crawling along his ceiling. A college student dreams of a voice whispering, "I'm watching." A mother of two wakes to see her doll sitting on the pillow beside her, though she swears she left it sealed inside a display box. Perhaps the most disturbing was from a woman in Malaysia. She filmed herself placing her Labubu in a locked glass cabinet. Hours later, she dreamt of being suffocated by hands pressing against her chest. When she woke, the cabinet door was open. The doll was on the floor. She deleted her account a week later. Viral panic. By mid-2024, the Labubu curse wasn't just an internet rumor, it was international news. The Economic Times ran a headline, "Eerie doll incidents spark fear. Influencers burn their Labubus." The Deccan Chronicle asked, "Viral fear or real haunting?" Influencers live-streamed themselves setting dolls on fire, burying them, or throwing them in rivers. But curiously, many of them later posted updates claiming the nightmares continued. One wrote, "I burned mine. I watched it turn to ash. But last night, it was in my dreams still smiling. I don't think you can destroy it." A sinister pattern. Digging through dozens of posts, I noticed the same cycle. Unboxing joy. Owners record themselves excited, happy. First disturbance. Lights flicker, pets act strange, doll shifts position. Nightmares. Owners begin losing sleep, describing similar shadow figures and whispers. Escalation. Physical evidence. Scratches on walls, objects moved, injuries in sleep. Desperation. Attempts to destroy or discard the doll. Lingering. Even after removal, the nightmares persist. It doesn't end with the object. Once unboxed, it's as if something steps through and stays. We've traced the beginning. The unboxings, the flickering lights, the restless animals, the sleepless nights. But the story doesn't stop here. Because what comes next are direct investigations. Recordings of whispers. Videos of the doll moving when no one touches it. Stories of priests, psychics, and collectors who claim the Labubu carries not just a curse, but a presence. If the doll is just vinyl and paint, then what exactly is inside it? This is Dark Horror Bites, and the curse of the Labubu doll is only beginning. We followed the first wave of cursed Labubu owners. The flickering lights, the restless pets, the nightmares, and the growing panic that spread across TikTok, Reddit, and Instagram. But those were only the beginnings. Because when the phenomena refused to stop, some began to document it, to record it, to fight back with rituals, with fire, with faith. And that's when the story grew darker. The recordings. One of the earliest documented attempts came from a Reddit user known only as AL. They set up their phone camera overnight, pointed directly at the Labubu doll placed on a table. For 3 hours nothing happened. But at 3:17 a.m., the doll's head tilted, just slightly, just enough to catch the light. The user insisted there was no string, no draft, no movement from them. When they slowed the footage down frame by frame, they swore the doll blinked. The video circulated briefly on TikTok before being mass-reported and removed. But mirrors of the clip remain online. Some argue it was faked with stop motion. Others believe it's genuine evidence of something moving through the doll. Another collector shared an audio recording taken while they slept. For most of the night, only faint static. But then, at 2:59 a.m., a voice whispers, almost childlike, almost mocking, "Let me out." The whisper is followed by a loud bang as though something struck the microphone. When played backwards, another whisper was heard, "Mine." The uploader deleted their account a week later. Surveillance footage. Perhaps the most chilling evidence came not from phones, but from home security cameras. One TikTok creator uploaded their Nest Cam footage. Their living room empty, doll placed neatly on a shelf. At 2:44 a.m. the camera glitches. The feed fills with static for 3 seconds. When the picture clears, the doll is on the floor. Another security clip shows the doll on a dining table. Suddenly, a chair screeches backward, scraping the floor as though pulled by unseen hands. The doll doesn't move, but every pet in the footage reacts violently, barking and fleeing the room. The user captioned the video, "If this is a prank, then tell me who's pulling the strings. Because I live alone." Rituals and failed cleansings. Fear drove many owners to attempt desperate solutions. Some burned their dolls live on TikTok. The flames licked the vinyl, blackened the teeth, melted the eyes into grotesque shapes. Audiences watched gleefully, until the same owners returned days later with unsettling updates. The nightmares hadn't stopped. One girl sobbed on Instagram Live, "I burned mine last night. I thought it was over. But I had the worst dream. Labubu was standing in the corner of my room. Its face was melted, and it whispered that fire doesn't matter." Others tried burying the dolls in fields, tossing them in rivers, or locking them in storage units. But again, the disturbances persisted. One young man claimed that after he buried his Labubu in the woods, he returned home to find muddy footprints in his hallway. The prints were tiny, childlike, leading straight to his bedroom. Psychics speak. Eventually, the story drew the attention of psychics and spiritual practitioners. On YouTube, a clairvoyant from Manila held a Labubu doll live on camera. She refused to keep it longer than 5 minutes. Her words, "This thing is not haunted. It's not a ghost. It's a vessel. There is something inhuman attached to it, something that laughs when you burn, bury, or curse it. Because once you unbox, it has your attention. And your attention is all it needs." A medium in London conducted a séance with 3 dolls arranged in a circle. She asked if any spirits were present. For several minutes, silence. Then a loud crash, her shelf collapsed off camera. The live stream ended abruptly. She later posted, "I will never do that again. Whatever came through, it wasn't a child. It was mocking us." Investigators enter. Paranormal investigators began dissecting the case. Some dismissed it as mass suggestion, a modern tulpa born from online hysteria. If enough people believe an object is cursed, they argued, fear alone creates real symptoms. Nightmares, paranoia, even hallucinations. But others weren't so sure. A small team of ghost hunters in the US borrowed 3 Labubu dolls for an overnight study. Their instruments, EMF meters, temperature gauges, spirit boxes, showed spikes at regular intervals around the dolls. Most disturbingly, the spirit box captured a voice. Not a whisper, not static. An audible phrase. "We see you." The clip circulated widely before skeptics claimed it was manipulated. Yet even seasoned debunkers admitted the voice was unusually clear. The viral spread. By this point, the Labubu curse wasn't just a trend, it was a global phenomenon. In India, newspapers reported on influencers burning dolls in groups. In Africa, a Medium article tied the Labubu to ancient spirits and compared it to Pazuzu, demon of storms. In the US, parents began warning children not to buy the dolls. And on Reddit, users claimed their entire friend groups had shared nightmares after passing a Labubu doll around. The curse had transcended ownership. Just witnessing the doll in videos, some argued, was enough to trigger unease. Escalation, the first harm. The stories grew darker. A man in Malaysia claimed he awoke with scratches across his chest, 3 deep gouges, though he lived alone. He posted photos of his wounds alongside an image of his Labubu staring from a shelf. Another collector said she began waking with nosebleeds each night at 3 a.m. She finally threw the doll into a dumpster. But when she returned to her apartment, the doll was sitting in the hallway outside her door. Most terrifying of all was the account of a TikTok influencer who taunted the doll live on stream, daring it to prove itself. Hours later, while riding his scooter, he crashed into a roadside barrier. He survived, but in his hospital video update he whispered, "It wasn't me. Something pulled the brakes." So far we've seen the evidence. Recordings of whispers, videos of dolls moving, failed rituals, psychic warnings, and victims harmed after mocking the curse. But the nightmare does not end there. The Labubu curse is not a meme. It is not a prank. It is something older, something darker. And once you unbox it, you can never put it back. Stay with Dark Horror Bites. The end of the story may be the darkest part of all. We witnessed evidence captured on recordings, failed rituals, psychic warnings, and even cases of physical harm. But what came next was worse, because some sought religious help, and others reported something no one wanted to believe. The doll moving, not in shadow, not in shaky footage, but with their own eyes. This is the grand finale of the Labubu curse. Priests and failed blessings. When burning and burying failed, owners turned to priests and shamans. In Monroe, Connecticut, a Catholic priest agreed to bless a collector's home where a Labubu doll was kept. Midway through sprinkling holy water, the priest reportedly froze in place, staring at the doll. His voice faltered and he dropped the vial of water. Witnesses claimed he whispered, "It's smiling at me." He refused to continue the ritual, and later confided to the family that he had never felt such a force in his 20 years of service. Another case emerged from the Philippines, where a local shaman attempted to trap the doll's energy inside a sealed clay jar. During the ritual, candles blew out all at once and the shaman collapsed, clutching his chest. He survived, but later told the family, "You cannot trap what never wanted to be bound. This is not a spirit. It is a hunger." Direct sightings. For most, the doll's movements were captured on camera or hinted at in shadows. But some owners claimed to witness it directly. One woman in Los Angeles said she woke in the middle of the night to the sound of plastic creaking. She sat up and saw the doll standing on the edge of her bed. Not lying. Not propped up. Standing upright. It fell limp when she screamed, but the image never left her mind. A college student in Toronto reported that during a power outage, He lit a candle and turned to see his Labubu doll leaning forward unnaturally on its shelf, its arms spread as though reaching toward him. He grabbed his phone, but when the flashlight clicked on, the doll was seated normally again. Another owner swore that during a live stream, the doll turned its head toward them in full view of hundreds of viewers. The stream crashed before the clip could be saved, but the chat exploded with panicked messages. "Did you see that?" Owners who vanished. The darkest legends involve owners who never came back online. A Reddit account that had been updating nightly about their Labubu suddenly stopped posting after describing a shadow with too many teeth standing over their bed. Another TikTok user's page remains frozen on their final video, the doll on a chair with the caption, "It won't stop looking at me." Their account has been inactive ever since. The aftermath and ongoing fear. Despite attempts to dismiss it as mass hysteria, the curse has not gone away. Even today, new videos appear weekly of dolls allegedly moving. Owners trade stories of nightmares where Labubu sits at the foot of their beds. Paranormal forums debate whether the curse is a tulpa, a spirit feeding on attention, or something darker that latched onto the dolls at the moment of creation. In 2024, the Economic Times and Deccan Chronicle both ran pieces on the viral scare. Skeptics laughed, but those who had owned the dolls didn't. One anonymous writer summed it up best. "The worst part isn't the doll. It's the silence after you throw it away. You wait wondering if it's really gone. But then the lights flicker again, and you know it found its way back." Closing reflection. The Labubu doll was never meant to be terrifying. It was marketed as cute, quirky, harmless. But somewhere along the way it became something else. Priests couldn't banish it. Psychics warned against it. Owners fled from it. And still the curse spread, through images, through videos, through whispers in the dark. So if you ever see a Labubu doll staring back at you from a shelf, remember, unboxing it might be the last mistake you ever make. And that is the curse of the Labubu doll. Some call it a hoax. Others swear it follows them even after the doll is gone. Maybe it's just fear feeding on itself. Or maybe, just maybe, something ancient found a way to hide inside a child's toy. So tell me, if you saw one on a shelf, would you dare take it home? This is Dark Horror Bites. Subscribe, if you're brave enough, for more true tales that will haunt your nights.